Good morning, second graders. We are on page 125 today of your student journal, and our lesson is lesson 8. Okay, our objective or our goal today is, today I will estimate lengths. And I'm going to skip this part. Using inches, comma, feet, comma, centimeters, comma, and meters. And I'm sorry if you kind of have to squish it in there. But today we're going to estimate lengths. Okay, so what does that mean, that very long objective? Estimate means a good, close, and reasonable guess. And it's often based on rounding. So what we're going to underline here is it's a close guess. So an estimate's not going to be exact, but we are going to make a guess. And how we're going to do that today is we are not going to be using our measuring tools. Instead, we're going to be using our body parts to help us. So we're going to be using non-standard units of estimation. So they're not standard, and this is how we're going to estimate our lengths. So for our inch, instead of using our regular ruler, we're going to use, it's about the tip of the thumb to the first knuckle. So if I look at my thumb, boys and girls, it says about the tip of the thumb to the first knuckle. So the tip is here, and my first knuckle is where I bend it right there. So this, if I draw right here, that would be about my knuckle right there. So let's see about how long that is on my thumb. It tells me an inch is about that long using my thumb. So that would be my inch, and you could measure yours. Now, part of the reason this is an estimate is obviously, depending on how old you are or how big you are, your thumbs will be different in size. Okay, our next measurement says a foot. A foot is about the elbow to the wrist. So think about, this is your wrist right here where I might wear a bracelet or a watch, and then my elbow is the pointy part that I bend right there. So on a person, if we draw a person, and here's their arm, we're going to bend their arm right there and put their hand. This would be, it's their elbow to their wrist. That length is, they say, about a foot. Okay, that's what we would call, we can finish his shirt. But that's for my elbow, the bendy part that I bend to the wrist is about a foot. Okay, let's read our next one. A yard or a meter, and the reason they go together is they're very close in size. They're almost the exact same. So a yard and a meter are about an arm span. So an arm span is if you stood up and you put your arms straight out and you had your fingers straight out, an arm span is from the tip of those fingers to the tip of those fingers. That's what we call an arm span. So it's a pretty good large amount of length. Okay, and then our last one says, what is a centimeter? A centimeter is about the width of a pinky nail. So if I put my pinky here, it's about the width of my pinky nail. That's about how big the centimeter is. So if we think about it, this is our smallest measurement. This one's our next in line, this one, and then this would be our largest measurement. So we might want to think about, as we do this, the different lengths and which one's smallest and which one's largest. Okay, so our steps today say we are going to determine the appropriate unit of measurement. So our units of measurement are what we just listed, our inch, our foot, our yard or meter, and our centimeter. And then what we're going to do is we're going to estimate the measurement using our non-standard units, which using our body. So using either our thumbs or our arms or both of our arms or our pinkies. And then we're going to write our estimate. So what does this look like, boys and girls? I'm going to set down my green pen and I'm going to grab my red so we can actually try this together and look at what it's going to look at like. Okay, and you can set yours down and you could just watch me. Okay, so here is my first problem. And my first problem says I'm going to hold up a marker and explain that you will be estimating its length. Okay, so I'm going to grab a marker. Most of us have had markers at school or at home. I'm sorry, our screen's moving. Okay, so I have to decide how I'm going to estimate the length of this marker. So remember my choices, boys and girls, are when I estimate it, I could use an inch, which is going to be my thumb. I could use a foot, which is going to be my arm. I could use a yard, which is going to be my arms, both arms, or I could use a centimeter, which is going to be my pinky. So those are kind of my choices, boys and girls, and I have to think about which one would be best. So which one would be best? So if I look at my marker, think about which ones I can cross off. I see two that are going to be way too big. So hopefully you're seeing that measuring that with my arm is going to be too big. And with my arms is going to be definitely too big. So what would be the best choice? I could use my thumb. I could also use my pinky. I think my pinky is going to take a long time, so I'm going to choose to use my thumb. So now that I determined which measurement I'm going to use, I'm actually going to measure it. So I'm going to put down my marker. I might want to just trace how long this is so it doesn't roll when I'm trying to measure. So that's how long my marker is. And now I'm going to use my thumb to help me. So here's, and remember it's not my whole thumb, it's from my knuckle to the tip. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm saying it's about 5 because I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 I measured. I think the marker is about 5 inches. Now remember, boys and girls, that doesn't mean it's exactly that. If I get a ruler, it's probably not going to match exactly, but it's going to be close. Okay, let's look at another one together. Okay, this one says, point to the doorway and tell the class that you'll be estimating the width of the doorway. Okay, so I can't move my camera to show you what a width of a doorway is, but let's look here. This is my doorway. There's my doorknob. This length is called my length. This is called my width. My width is from there to there in the doorway. So if I opened the door, so if we open a door, we usually see kind of the empty space like this. So the width is going to be straight across. That would be the width of our door. So let's think about our choices again. Our choices are I can use an inch, which is going to be my thumb. I could use a foot, which is going to be my arm. I could use a yard or a meter, which is going to be my arms, both of them. Or I could use a centimeter, which is going to be my pinky. So which ones would make no sense? Do you see how centimeter would be way too little? That would take a long time in an actual doorway. I also think when I look at my doorway and I think how big my arms are, I don't think a yard would work because I think my arms open my wingspan they call it, or arm span, is bigger than my doorway. So now I have to decide, do I want to use inches, which would be my thumb, or do I want to use foot, which would be my arm? I think this would be the best choice. So boys and girls, I'm actually going to get up and walk to my doorway, and I'm going to tell you how many arms, and you could pause the video and actually go try this on your own and see how many arms you think it is from your elbow to your wrist. Okay, so I just measured the width of my front doorway, and my front doorway was, I used 3 elbows to my wrist, which tells me I think it's about 3 feet. That would be my estimate. Okay, let's try some together, boys and girls. So please pick up your pencil, and I'm going to pick up my green marker. And here is our first problem together. And you should be on page 126. Okay, discuss which unit of measurement would be most appropriate to record the length of a crayon. Use the appropriate body part and record the estimate. So here is my crayon. And remember our choices: an inch, which is going to be my thumb, a foot, which is going to be my arm, a yard or a meter, which is going to be arms, or a centimeter, which is going to be a pinky. So I think we could agree that my arms is going to be too big. My arm is going to be too big. So my choices are either a thumb with inches or a centimeter with pinky. Now, boys and girls, I don't think either of those would be a bad idea. I'm going to trace mine so it's easier. I think you could use either. I think a thumb might be a little bit quicker, so I might choose to use my inch, but this one would have been a good choice also. So I'm going to actually just use my thumb, and here's my first thumb, my second. I'm coming up with 1, 2, 3 thumbs. So I think it's about 3 inches. That would be my best guess. Okay, let's look at one more together. Discuss which unit of measurement would be most appropriate to estimate the height of a chair. Use the appropriate body part and record the estimate. Okay, so if I look at a chair, this is about what a chair looks like. The height is from the ground to the top of what we call the back of the chair, where your back would go. So that would be the height. Now, since we're at home and not in school, we're going to all be looking at different chairs. So some of my chairs that I'm looking at in my house are shorter than others, so it's not going to be exactly the same. If we were in school, we could use our school chairs, but this is going to be a little different. But we could still decide on our measurement that would work best. So we have inch, foot, yard, or centimeter to choose. So let's think about which ones would not be good choices. And I'm hoping you're thinking that a centimeter, measuring that with your pinky, would be a lot of work. I also think even measuring it with my thumb would be a lot of work. So we have left, we can use a foot, which is one arm, or we could use a yard, which is both arms. I think using both arms is going to be too big for most of my chairs. So I think it would be better if I used just one arm from my elbow to my wrist. And I'm going to do that to my chair next to me. You could pause the video and find a chair and see how many elbows to wrist you have in yours, and we'll see who has taller chairs at home. So my chair that I'm sitting in actually took 3, so I would say it's 3 feet tall, or its height is 3 feet. Okay, boys and girls, today you're going to be turning the page, and you are going to be trying page 127. Okay, have a good day. Bye.